Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Michaela. I talk about motherhood and how to not just survive it, but how to actually enjoy being a mom. So I talk about motherhood, faith, creativity, minimalism, all that good stuff. Definitely hit the subscribe button if you want to stick around. I'm super excited to make this video today because just a couple of years ago, I was Googling everything age gaps and the best age gaps and pros and cons of different age gaps. I grew up for some reason thinking that 2 years was the perfect age gap. I have one brother and he's 2 years older than me. So I thought 2 years is perfect. Any more than that is too much. Any less than that and you're crazy. But what surprised me is that right when I had my first child, I pretty much immediately wanted another one. So that led me down the path of looking into Irish twins and close age gaps and pros and cons and trying to decide whether or not that was what we wanted to do. I ended up getting pregnant when she was 6 months old. So that left us with a 15-month age gap between my daughter and my son. Since then, I've had another son and he is 15 months younger than my middle child. So we've done the 15-month age gap twice. It's the only one I've experienced and I'm honestly a big fan. I still remember when I was first pregnant with my second child thinking, what have we done? Are they going to be too close in age? How am I going to handle this? I had all of those fears and it really encouraged me when I came across a positive perspective from someone who enjoyed a small age gap. So I'm going to get into my pros and cons. I'll start with the cons so we can just get those done and over with and out of the way. Number one, our breastfeeding journey was cut short. I had done some research into tandem nursing. I was really hoping I would be able to nurse my daughter all through pregnancy and tandem nurse, but unfortunately that wasn't the situation either time with either of my kids. They both self-weaned around 9 to 10 months. I know a lot of people do successfully tandem nurse, but I haven't come across a situation where someone had kids as close as mine and was able to do it. If I had known that our breastfeeding journey would be cut short, I probably would have wanted to wait to get pregnant. Obviously now I can't imagine not having my son. And that's the crazy, crazy thing about pregnancy is that if you get pregnant, basically any other moment in time, a different sperm meets a different egg and you have a completely different child. So I'm thankful I didn't know that ahead of time and it didn't make me want to wait because I'm so thankful that I have the kids I have. So the second con is it can feel like you don't have enough arms once you have that second child 15 months later. The first one is probably still kind of learning to walk, or at least learning to follow directions and actually walk where you want them to. So especially for those first couple months, it very much felt like I had to carry both of my children if we were going somewhere. I used my double stroller a ton. I would end up wearing my toddler and carrying the bucket seat, or vice versa, wearing my baby, carrying my toddler. So there are ways around that, but I did feel very outnumbered and like I didn't have enough hands those first few weeks. I was definitely afraid to leave the house with both of them at first, but the beautiful thing about capacity is that it grows as we need it. So it's totally normal and okay for that to feel overwhelming. And I would just say, don't let it stop you from getting out of the house or going where you want to go. Find a few safe places where you feel you can go. If you have a local church group or a friend's house, somewhere that feels safe and you can get your kids in and out of the car in a safe environment and know that they are going to be a little bit contained, you will in time get used to it. And as they get older and your older child starts to be more confident walking, it gets so much easier. Number three, mom guilt. I felt mom guilt about everything. Obviously, this is not exclusive to a 15-month age gap. Mom guilt is so natural when adding a child at any age. It can feel like you're depriving your child. It's hard to be pregnant and low on energy while taking care of children. It's hard adjusting postpartum and feeling like you can't care for your first child the way you want to. It's hard knowing that your children are going to have a different experience and you're going to have to treat them differently. But even though it was hard, I would say the good moments definitely outweighed the bad. And even though I felt guilty not being able to care for them the way I wanted to, I firmly believe giving your child a sibling is the best gift that you can give them. Even if it means it's hard and your love is divided, they are going to be better off for it and they're going to be so thankful for their new little best friend, even if they're not right away. Okay, now on to the pros. of having kids 15 months apart. Number one, we were already in baby mode. It felt surprisingly very natural to add another baby. We were already changing one diaper, why not change two? I already knew where all the baby stuff was. We had it. It was still modern. I already knew the current standards for sleep and car seats and all that stuff. So it felt very natural to slide another baby into our life. Pro number two, I had a very restful first trimester of pregnancy. I was extremely tired that second pregnancy, but since my daughter was so young, she was still on 2 naps. So I was able to use one of her naps to have a nap and then one to prep dinner or get something done if I wanted to be productive. But ultimately, since she was so little, I was able to rest a lot or just kind of like barricade her in the living room and rest on the couch and read or read to her while she played. So that was good. It was a very restful first trimester. And number three, both kids are more content when they are together. That happened actually really quickly. I thought it would take until my son was like a year old for them to interact and become friends, but it was when he was closer to 3 or 4 months and started actually smiling and responding that my daughter would be so excited to make him giggle, and they would be interacting and like just, I don't know, kind of playing together. They were on opposite nap schedules for a while, and I actually found that harder because they both really missed each other, and I found they entertained each other very well. So it's almost easier to have the two of them playing happily together than having just one of them. Okay, now I'm going to share a few thoughts that really gave me peace and helped me to process the transition and prepare for my second child. So the first one is, I've never had a 15-month-old before. Who's to say that isn't the perfect time to have another baby? Like I said, my daughter was about 6 months old when I got pregnant with my second, and I didn't know who she would be at 15 months old, at 2 years, at 3 years. There was no way to determine that waiting would be somehow better. When you only know one age gap, there's no reason to believe it's not the perfect age gap. There's no reason to believe some other age gap would somehow be better, even though it's easy to look around and wonder if it would be easier if your child was older or if they were younger or whatever the situation. That age gap was all I knew, and so it felt really good and really natural to me. Thought number two, everything is a phase, especially with babies. And as much as that gives me peace on the hard days, it also makes me so sad in the good moments, because no matter how much you love a particular season, it's going to come to an end eventually. I kind of think that's the key to enjoying life, both remembering that this is a phase, it will end when it's hard, and also remembering that these are actually the good old days and the ones that you're going to miss. It sounds like opposite thoughts, but somehow I think you need to believe both those things to enjoy your life. I also held on to the fact that even though I might not be the mom I want to be today or this week or in this season of adjustment, overall, when I look at the grand scheme of their life, I know my children are going to feel so loved and cherished, and overall, in the big picture, I am the mom that I want to be and that God has called me to be. Thought number three, I want a table full of adult children and grandchildren someday. That really helps me get over the guilt of not being able to give my daughter my full attention anymore, knowing that I wanted that for me and also for them to have each other and to have, you know, a few siblings out there, lots of nieces and nephews. It gave me comfort in remembering that this was the best course of action. And in the same way, a sibling is the best gift I can give my child. Remembering that also helped me out on the days that I felt guilty about dividing my attention or being tired and pregnant while taking care of my daughter. Thought number five, it's okay to mourn the end of the family we have now. I felt this so deeply in every pregnancy that it is so hard to give up the version of your family and the life that you know and love in exchange for unknown, in exchange for adding a new person that you haven't met yet. When I was pregnant for the first time, I was really scared that our marriage would change in negative ways. I was scared to give up a marriage that we loved and just sweet time together and schedule flexibility and exchange it for a life that we didn't know yet. And I felt that when I was pregnant with my second, it was hard to give up our family of 3. And I felt it in my most recent pregnancy, that it was hard to give up our family of 4 and invite a third child into the mix. But every single time, of course, I've been so pleasantly surprised and so grateful to experience the new version of our family. But I do think it's important to mourn the stage that you're giving up and mourn the version of your family that you are, in a sense, losing in order to fully open your heart and make room for that next child. The next thought that helped me a lot is that fertility is such a gift. I especially really held on to that in my third pregnancy. That one was a bit of a surprise to me. I thought we were going to leave a bit longer of a break in between our second and third child, but I really just held on to that thought that fertility is a gift because I don't think anybody's family planning fully goes the way they expect it to. It's funny that we sit here and try to pick our age gaps when really we can't control it. That is so in God's hands. I just felt so grateful that even though that was a surprise pregnancy and that felt really heavy at first, I felt so grateful that my problem, you could say, or my fear was around having more children than I knew what to do with. Like, what an actual blessing. So I hope that gives you comfort too. If this is maybe an unplanned small age gap, I really do believe children are such a gift, and fertility is such a gift and not something that I want to take for granted, no matter how scary it might seem introducing another child. I think so often we are taught to fear blessings and fear these small age gaps. At least that's the sense I got. I remember disclosing to a friend when my daughter was maybe about 5 months old that I was getting really eager to have another child, and she told me that was a bad idea and that I should wait. And I remember telling her, no matter how chaotic it is, no matter how hard it is, I'm not going to regret it. I'm never going to look at a child in my family and regret bringing them into the world. And of course, I don't regret it. I really believe we will never look back and regret the children we have, but we might look back and wonder if maybe there should have been another one, or maybe we shouldn't have been so fearful of God's blessings. So whether you are already pregnant or you are trying to decide when to plan that next pregnancy, I hope you found some encouragement here. And I just want to wish you God's blessings as you make these hard decisions and as you grow your family. If you want to stick around here, please hit the subscribe button and leave me a comment. Let me know how I can pray for you and just where you're at on your motherhood journey. Bye for now.